And we are live. Alrighty, welcome everybody. Perhaps this is your first session with us. If it is, Becky, great to see you. Um, Welcome. This is a Meditate to Elevate. We're going to have an absolutely freaking phenomenal time tonight. I want to invite you, if you have any distractions, disconnect from the distractions and be here with us fully. And also, thank you for being here with us fully. Your presence, your energy. I know you are here for yourself, but you are also here for the people in your lives and your own missions. And simply by being here, you are in contribution energetically. So thank you for that. Let me introduce Simon. Simon, my man, I'm so excited to have you here. I'll do a brief introduction and then we'll wrap from there. Simon Borg-Olivier. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't.
It's very good. Yeah.
Simon is an Australian physiotherapist, a scientist, a yoga master who bridges ancient wisdom and modern science, teaching meditation in posture and movement for health, happiness, and longevity. And, a couple of the reasons I'm excited to have you here is, first of all, if you guys haven't been to his Instagram, go check him out. If it's your first time meeting Simon, go follow him on Instagram. And I was showing some photos of him this morning, of you, Simon, this morning to my clients, through a Zoom call. And he's on the beach doing handstands, and he's just an incredible demonstration of health and vitality. And, the second reason I'm grateful that you're here, when we spoke the first time, you're in Australia, 18 hours ahead of me. It was midnight your time, and you had just got done teaching all day, full day of teaching. And I remember somebody walked over and gave you a plate of dinner, and you were so grateful to them. And it was like, man, this man has been
Breakfast.
working all day.
It
Yeah,
was
oh,
my
breakfast,
breakfast.
excuse me.
Yeah.
And we were chatting this morning, early my time, it's like 5:30 a.m. my time, and it was like midnight your time. And I was like, man, this guy has vitality, the type of vitality I want and inspire to have. And what it represents to me also is that you have a mission. And when someone is inspired by a mission and a calling, that's inspiring to me. And those type of people like you figure out a way to show up. So thank you, man. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful that you're here.
It is such a privilege to be here with you, Shawn. Thank you very much for everyone for being here. And it is my honor and privilege to share what I've been given so gratefully by my great masters from all over the world. I'm looking forward to share it with you all. Thank you.
Man, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. What if I turn the spotlight over to you? I gave you an introduction. If you could share a little bit about you, and I know we have some exciting things that we really want to get into today. So if you can chat about like really what inspired you to be here too, and then I think that will open up some, conversation that will be valuable for everybody in attendance.
Oh, well, look, I think all of us want to enjoy our lives. So I think to enjoy our lives, we need to address five levels. I break them down into five levels. They're all obviously interconnected, but it's really important to look at your physical body, and it needs to be pain-free and be able to be functional in what you're doing. So I look for practices where I'm pain-free and functional. And then you also want to have energy in your body. And like you said, I do tend to have a lot of energy. I only sleep about 4 hours a night usually. And having
Love that.
energy is really good, but we have to be careful. Sometimes when energy comes into the body, it's nervous energy. And if you have nervous energy, it's like stress. So you don't want stress in your life because stress is the biggest killer. So what you want is a dominance of what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that state of rest, rejuvenation, relaxation, regeneration. And when you've got that happening, your immune system works best, your digestive system, your reproductive system. So we need physiological health. And that comes best when you've got two things: a dominance of this relaxation response, while at the same time moving blood effortlessly through your body, which is energy flowing through your body. Now, these two things are often counterintuitive. Most people will rest best when they're asleep, but when you're asleep, blood's not flowing very well. And most people get the blood flowing when they exercise. But along with exercise usually is heart racing, sweating, tensing, stretching muscles. And that actually blocks the flow of blood. That's why the heart is beating faster. So pardon me. So although exercise has some benefits, like moving blood primarily, and using your muscles and exercising your joints, it also has this disadvantage of adding stress to most people's lives. And science acknowledges this, but most people, they say most people will be stressed if they do too much exercise. I believe that almost all exercise stresses people. It's just that our base level for most normal people is stressed anyway. So you don't notice how much it's stressing you. But people need to sleep a lot because that calms you down. It relaxes you. What I look for in the meditative practices that I teach and practice is to get the benefits of sleep and exercise at the same time. So after what I do, whether it's moving dynamic practices, which I do a lot of, or static meditative practices, like we'll do today, I look for the feeling of being in a warm bath. If it's a cold room, I get hot straight away. I look for the feeling of blood flowing, but at the end of it, I don't want to do a workout. We do enough workouts in our life. And at the end of a workout, usually you have less energy, more need for food, and more need for sleep. Exercise is useful, but it can drain you. So what I look for is doing more of a work in, where at the end of the practice, I have more energy, less need for sleep, less need for food. So on a physiological level, the two most important things are to be able to have blood flowing effectively while hardly having any tension at all. Now, when I first started doing physical practices, it was with my father when I was 6 years old. And my dad was a free diver and he taught me how to swim underwater. So one of the most important things I learned first was how to not breathe. And I realized that the less you breathe, the longer you can last underwater. So still to my present moment, I believe that the less we breathe, but the more we can do, the better off we are. And this is backed up by all medical science. The less you breathe, the more blood goes to your brain, the calmer the nervous system, the more oxygen comes to your cells. But modern people think often, you should breathe more, you should get your heart rate up. But actually breathing more and heart racing are signs of stress. So I look for in my meditative practices the time where there's hardly any breath, the time that there's hardly any heart racing. And often we have this expression in English about really good moments in your life which take your breath away. And somehow you're breathless. And usually being breathless or having something take your breath away is a really good moment where almost time stops and you're so engaged in the activity that you're doing that you forget to breathe, but of course you are breathing a very, very small amount. But this is the state that in Indian yoga they call Kevala Kumbhaka. It's the state where you're holding the breath without realizing, and you can do this for hours. Eventually, I was once hooked up to a gas mask at the university in Melbourne, and they were measuring my breathing. And they said the gas mask, which was measuring oxygen and CO2 coming in and out of my nose and mouth, they said at one point I didn't breathe for nearly 10 minutes. It was a not conscious realizing this. I was meditating, but they say in the meditative state, I wasn't breathing for 10 minutes. And I could have gone longer, except I didn't realize I was doing this. So for me, the meditative state is a place where I had a Tibetan Lama where I was 17 years old, and he showed me meditating, sitting naked in the snow. So sitting in a cold room, covering yourself with blankets when you're cold, that's obviously good to do. You get focus, you get relaxation. But to me, the real meditation comes when you can sit naked in the snow and demonstrate that you can get blood to every cell of your body. Because we're not just the mind. And sometimes meditative people focus on the mind. But, a mind with a painful body and no energy doesn't work that well. The best mind works when you've got a pain-free functional body, no pain, you can do what you need to do, you've got lots of energy, but you're relaxed. And then putting the mind in the present moment, engaged in the activity you're doing, means you get the benefits of sleep and exercise at the same time. At the end, you're revitalized. And then what happens is not just physiological and mental benefits, but then you get social benefits. You can be with your family, your friends. You can have a better social life. And then also you get financial benefits because then you can work with your employers and your employees and you're more happy to help in a generous way without looking like you're doing it just to earn money. So I look for these 5 components of my life, that my meditative practices, which sometimes are stationary, sometimes are moving practices, I make them do 5 things. They must be sustainable. In other words, I can do them for hours. They must be, and also not just hours in one day. I want to be able to do them for the rest of my life. They also have to be engaging. In other words, they take your mind, so your mind stays in the here and now, and it's interesting enough to engage you, but not so many things to do that you become stressed. And it's calming, so you feel relaxed, but not so calming, you become bored. You're looking for that zone in your brain between the borders of boredom and stress, and you're finding freedom in that. And for many people, the border between boredom and stress inside their brain is very narrow. What you want is to be able to be in life and have what other people call stressful situations, and you just call exciting. And what other people might call boring, you go, no, this is relaxing. But for many people, the borders between stress and boredom have crossed over. So some people are stressed and bored at the same time. And this is not something you want in your life. So by engaging in conscious, embodied meditative practices, you can learn life skills where you can do boring things and just call it relaxing. You can do stressful things and you call it interesting, exciting, engaging. So this is the mental aspect. You want to do a practice which is sustainable, engaging, calming. Calming is important. You should feel that your body's responses are calming, like low heart rate, less breathing, less thinking, less tension of the body, less stretching in the body. The worst stretching, of course, is the imbalance of sitting on chairs that most people do all day long. So although we'll do a seated meditation today, I invite some of you to do it standing up if you wish. And later you can apply these principles to do them in simple movements as well, even walking. And so you want it sustainable, engaging, calming, and also it has to feel effortless. So when we're doing it, I'll offer you things to do in the meditation, things like focus on here, lengthen a bit here, relax this. And ideally, you start doing many things at once. But for most people, when they're learning a new activity, which might contain 5 or 10 parts, if you try and do all 5 things at once, it becomes stressful. So what I'll suggest is do one thing, try it, then leave it, do the next thing, leave that, try the next thing. Then I'll repeat the things to do. And maybe you might do 2 things at once. Maybe you might do 3 things at once. But don't feel the need to do all 5 at once. But some of you will be able to do 5 things at once and still stay calm. Others will find it stressful to do 5 things at once. Some of you will be happy doing one thing only and you'll be engaged, but some people are bored with one thing. So then you have to choose. And because we're dealing with a mixed audience, I'll give you an option. You choose to focus on many things at once or a few, but just as long as you stay engaged and it's not difficult. So when I say effortless, make the practice physically easy. So you'll need to put yourself in a comfortable position you can hold for a period of time. Like sitting on the floor is okay, but for most people, sitting on the floor is not good if you've spent most of your life sitting in cars, buses, trains, toilets, sitting for dinner. It's only traditional cultures who live seated on the floor who can actually meditate sitting on the floor, I think, for most people. Also, it's important to know that blood flow is important. So if when you're sitting, your knees are slightly higher than your hips, blood doesn't flow uphill. So you need your knees just a little bit lower than your hips. Otherwise, you'll find your legs will go numb. And legs going numb means no communication to your legs. I had Mr. Iyengar, one of my first Indian teachers, and he said this wonderful expression. He wrote the book Light on Yoga. He's quite well known by some people. And he said to us in a small group, he said, yoga, which in India means meditation, they're the same word. Whereas in the modern world, yoga is doing stretchy postures, meditation is still doing nothing. In fact, they're the same thing. And so he said that yoga is when you make every cell of your body sing the song of the soul, which is beautiful alliteration, but a nice analogy, if you like. So to connect with every cell is important. So when you're sitting, make sure that you're not sitting on one of those couches where your knees are higher than your hips. Otherwise, blood won't flow. And don't lean on the back of a chair unless you have to. If you can, make your spine stay erect. And the more you lengthen and relax your body, the more blood will flow. So I've done lots of tests with real-time infrared cameras. So for example, if your hand is relaxed, then blood doesn't flow to it very well. But if you can lengthen your fingers without hardness, that's a hard, lengthened hand. This is a soft, lengthened hand. This is a relaxed hand. So as soon as you lengthen your fingers, but not hard, soft and lengthened, that will pull blood into the hands. So you can see on an infrared camera that a hand which is lengthened and relaxed has 4 or 5 degrees more temperature than a hand that's relaxed. And if you make a fist, the hand actually goes cold. So this is important that when we sit, you adopt the inner mantra, lengthen your spine, your shoulders, your arms, even facial muscles I'll ask you to connect with. And this lengthening acts like a suction. So if we put our two hands together and pull them apart, you hear a suction. And that suction, if you do it between your vertebral segments, when you lift up your spine, that will pull blood into your vertebral segments. Your cerebrospinal fluid starts to flow better. I'll also be asking you to lengthen your lips. So you lift the outer lip slightly. Lift the tip of the tongue slightly. Let the jaw open. Release the jaw. Let the outer eyes close and the inner eyes lift. So when you're asleep, the inner eyes look up at the third eye center. If you can let this happen, that lifting of the inner eyes actually starts to pull more blood flow to your brain. So I'll ask you to focus on specific points and create lengthening, which causes like a vacuum-like suction to pull blood, and also relaxation. Because whenever you tense or compress any part of the body, blood goes away. Whenever you lengthen or relax it, blood will come towards. So I don't want to give just a mental practice of relaxation. I want to give a physiological thing where you end up with a body which feels better at the end of the sitting. So, like if you have back pain and you focus on lengthen and relax, your back pain goes away. Same with neck pain. And not just a physical pain-free practice, but at the end of it, you want to feel more energy flowing through your body and more relaxed. And mentally, what we're looking for is entering what the elite athlete will call the zone or the flow state. And I think if people recognize that the elite athlete's flow or zone state is really akin to the traditional meditative state, but it's not something where you're doing nothing. You're doing something which is moving blood. You can do it sustainably. It's energizing. It's calming at the same time. So it's not wrong to do a sleepy meditation and sort of wake up a bit sleepy. But if you can do a meditation where you don't just get that relaxation, but energy as well, it can put you into your life and make it a lot better to deal with your life. These are a few things that I'll try and share as we move along. Maybe you'd like to say something too. I talk a lot.
Yeah, man. No, I'm in love with what you said earlier about that you get 4 hours of sleep. I'm fascinated with that. There's so much. You got to get 8 hours. You got to get 10
Yes,
hours. You got to get 20 hours of sleep. I'm exaggerating, but
yes, yes.
I love that you sleep less. And I know a few really high performers that do that, sleep less and have vitality like you do. So I love what you're saying. What I'm hearing about how we're going to hold ourselves in the meditation, it's engaged, but it's not this. And probably for many of us, we're in a really tense state unconsciously
Mhm,
often, and we get to find that balance between not
mhm,
being tense and also
mhm,
being engaged.
mhm.
Um, I love what you said about sitting outside in the snow. I remember that was one of the things we spoke about last time. I've been inspired by that. I've been going outside and being in the cold differently, embracing it differently. Uh, I believe that's primarily because of how you're breathing, or what's your take on sitting in the snow naked, as you said, and warming your body.
Well, there are many different ways you can move blood through the body. Like I said, if you lengthen and relax, that's the most important way. But then also, if you breathe less than normal, this dilates blood vessels. It opens up the blood vessels. So when you breathe more than normal, that is called hyperventilation. That will actually make you colder to a certain extent. It'll make the heart race more. When you breathe less than normal, this opens up blood vessels and it also allows the access of oxygen into your cells. So we have this mythology that says you should breathe more, but logically you know that fit people run fast and hardly breathe at all, whereas sick people walk slowly and they breathe a lot, and you think they're
When
going
you
to die
say
soon.
breathe, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you
Yeah.
say breathe less, you mean fewer beats per minute, where you're taking more oxygen in each breath, or what do you mean by
No.
that?
When we say breathe less, what we do is we do a measurement called minute ventilation, which is a product between two things. You measure the average amount of air in a breath. So say, for example, the amount of volume of air might be the size of a cup, maybe 300 to 500 milliliters of air. Then if you measure the number of breaths you take per minute and you multiply them, so maybe half a litre, or I'm not sure you use pints or something like that, but say a pint is 600 mils, so maybe two-thirds of a pint, or half a litre of air in a breath, times 10 breaths per minute, comes to about 5 litres, which is what, about six or 7 or 8 pints. That is the size of a typical lung. So when you measure it, coincidentally, if you add up the volume per each breath and the number of breaths per minute, that comes to an amount which we call your minute ventilation. And coincidentally, if such a thing exists, that happens to be about the same size as one full breath. Which means that if you're doing conscious breathing, and if you're breathing more than one full breath a minute, by definition, you are hyperventilating, which is really what sick
Wow.
people do. So one of the things that I try and tell people with meditation is, although an adept, experienced person can observe their breath while they're meditating, often when you observe your breath, you change it and you breathe more. So, even if people try for a moment, just watch your breath. What's it doing? Almost straight away, you start to change
Yeah.
it. And that
Yeah.
change will bring on more breath. And that more breath reduces blood flow to the brain and hypersensitizes your nervous system. It can be a tool to help you get to the meditative state. But for some people, breathing more than normal will take you away from it. What you want is not less blood to the brain, you want more blood to the brain. But for some people, it helps them to breathe more because that takes away their thinking ability and it makes their nervous system more calm. So one of the tools we can use sometime is to do conscious breathing more first, which will reduce blood flow to the brain and hypersensitize the nervous system, meaning then the person who first starts their meditation and they're sitting, all they can do is think and they can't feel their body. But by breathing more than normal, then you stop thinking so much and you start feeling your body. But that's just to get you into the meditation. Because after that, you want to breathe less and make your nervous system calmer. Because if you overdo it and you breathe more and you hypersensitize the nervous system, you'll get not just less blood to the brain, you can get, at the best, dizziness, lightheadedness, but at the worst, you can give yourself a stroke, you can get brain cancer. And I know, sadly, many people who did years of breathing more than normal and ended up with brain tumors, not to mention other
Mm.
cancers in the body. Cancer thrives in the absence of oxygen, but the irony is the more you breathe, the less oxygen goes to your brain. So although breathing more a little bit can help people enter a meditative space, once you're in it, you want to breathe less, and you want to tense less, stretch less, heart rate less, and that takes you to this place where the nervous system adopts this place where immunity, reproduction, digestion takes place, and you can work towards health, happiness, and longevity. Also, at that place where you're super relaxed, the dominant subconscious emotions are peace and love and safety and trust in yourself and the external environment. But the more you breathe, you go away from that. You turn off immune, digestive, reproductive function so you don't live as long, because they're the organs of longevity. And the subconscious cellular emotions, when you breathe more, which stimulates a flight or fight response, that will leave your subconscious emotions to feel anxious, nervous, stressed. Anger, aggression, lack of safety, lack of trust comes when people breathe more. So in the beginning, for most people, I'd say return to natural breathing, and that's what we'll do today. But I'll also connect you with another important component, because people say that breathing is the link between body and mind. Breathing is the link between conscious and unconscious. You hear this a lot, but it's not actually your breath. It's your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is a muscle which you can choose to control. So if I say, everyone breathe into the abdomen, your abdomen expands because your diaphragm moves down. But you do that consciously, no problem. But it happens while you're asleep without you thinking. So the diaphragm is a special muscle. It can be controlled with your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. But other muscles, like your elbow, you can bend it and straighten it, but then if you leave it, it's not going to bend by itself. It's a conscious muscle. Muscles like the ones in your arteries to your brain, they can contract and expand, but we can't control them consciously. They happen unconsciously. But there are special places in the body. One is the diaphragm, which has a dual control. And these are places where you can hack your unconscious. You can access your unconscious by using your diaphragm. And some people think it's the breath, But actually, if I breathe diaphragmatically, you see my abdomen going in and out, but I'm doing it without breathing. See, I can hold my nose, and then you still see, or it looks like I'm breathing, but I'm actually using my muscles of breathing, which accesses my unconscious. So breathing is not the link between body and mind, it's your breathing muscles. And accessory to the diaphragm include your fingers, your shoulders, your pelvic floor, your neck, also your salivary apparatus, your jaw, your lips, your outer eyes, and your inner eyes. Because sometimes you blink consciously, and sometimes if someone slaps in front of your face, you blink automatically. Sometimes you chew consciously, but sometimes your jaw grinds at nighttime unconsciously. Sometimes you smile consciously, other times you can't help yourself. Sometimes you make saliva because you want to. Sometimes yummy food comes in front and you make saliva. So the inner eyes, for example, we can look up, but it happens when you're asleep. So I'm going to bring your attention and everyone's attention to what I call the bridges between conscious and unconscious. And when you start observing and manipulating these, your breathing regulates. Your nervous system regulates. And if you're in a non-stressful place, your body will realize it. And this is the main tool that I use along with lengthening and relaxing the body to hack the unconscious. It's a very interesting thing to do.
Beautiful, man. Let's get into it.
Okay. All right. So what I need to show first is I want you to see what parts to expand and relax. So better for people to do this probably on a chair. As long as you've got your knees slightly below the hips, you could do it standing, but we'll probably spend about 20 minutes going through this at least. So prepare to be in a comfortable position for at least that long. But don't, ideally when I say to people, prepare to sit for 20 minutes, I want you to feel that you could sit for an hour, no problems. So don't be in an uncomfortable position, super comfortable. If possible, don't sit with your back touching the chair, sit away from it. If possible, make your spine lengthened. Now, often we get told to make a neutral spine where the lower back is curved inwards. Better make the lower back lengthen. So drop your sitting bones down. And if you can try for a moment, everyone just bend forward like this until you can feel the skin stretching in your back. And if you can really bring the chin up, but the collarbone down, you'll feel all the skin from your lower back, below the top of the hips, your middle back and your upper back, and between the shoulder blades. Lengthen those parts. Now release. Now do the same with your neck. So sit up straight and bring your head down and neck back and feel the back of the neck. Now can you do it with the front? Without shortening the back of the body, lift up the chest and pull the shoulders back. And then you feel the front of the chest expand. Then if you can, with your back lengthened and your sitting bones down, expand the belly. Now each of those places can ideally happen at the same time. Now work with your neck. So if you bring your fingers to the base of the back of the neck and push the base of the back of the neck up and press your fingers against the base of the skull. Then from there, lift your throat and lift your chin. How high can you lift your chin without shortening the back of the neck? And then release. So what you want is to feel that when you are seated in meditation, many people bring their head down. Head down is not good for prolonged meditation because it will overstimulate the sympathetic nervous system ganglions in your back. Whereas if you can keep the back lengthened, that gives you energy. But if you lift your throat as well, the throat lengthening will stimulate your vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is that place where you've got access to your calming nervous system. So I'll ask you to do all of these things at once eventually. So if you can look at me for a moment, I'll say lengthen the back of your body and between your shoulder blades and back of neck. Keep the back lengthened, then expand the belly, lift the chest, and then lift the throat. So you've got a sensation of the back and the front and the arms all lengthened, everything at once. So that'll take time, and I'm going to keep bringing your attention to seeing if you can find a balance between lengthening the back but without shortening the front, lengthening the front without shortening the back. So back and front become lengthened at the same time. And this is going to act like the two hands pulling apart, you create a suction. And we want the same thing happening upright. So I'm going to ask you to push your sitting bones into the floor and move the top of your hips back. See, some people will try and lift the chest by pulling the top of the hips forward. That will over tighten your back and the front of the hips. So I'll say bring the top of the hips slightly back to lengthen your lower back. Bring your lower ribs inwards and backwards. Feel the skin of the upper back and shoulders apart. Then I'll say lengthen the back of the neck Now, with all that lengthened, expand the abdomen, lift your collarbone, and lift your throat forward, chin up. And we'll go through this, but I want you to see it first. Then, when you're seated, rather than keeping the face completely relaxed, which is okay, we know that sitting up straight, you have to use spinal muscles. And that's what gives you a sense of blood flow. So same with your face. If you can use your facial muscles, this will pump blood to the brain. So I'm going to access these 5 places in the face, which act as bridges between conscious and unconscious. So first of it all, make saliva and swallow. Now move your tongue in your throat and notice you can press the tip of the tongue lightly to the back of the upper teeth. If you can keep it lightly there in the practice, that can make a big difference for various reasons. The tip of the tongue is the end of your kidney meridian, and it has connections with your spine and your chest and your skull. Then the second thing is your jaw. So keep the lips closed, but open the jaw. And as you bring the jaw down slightly, that will relax the masseter muscles, which for many people become chronic tension and stress, like people who grind their jaw. Then the third thing is lift the lips in a half smile. Now, when you smile, it changes your brain. The brain is connected to smiling. Many people sit, they look really miserable, looking like a rod's being shoved from their rectum up to their crown of the head. Everything is miserable. So if you can just change your face, let the smile happen, a little half smile without tensing your face. And what that does is it stimulates bone mineral density. So many people have observed that men, as they get older, often sometimes look a bit better than women. Not that men die quicker, but sometimes men's face looks younger. And people wonder why. Why? It's because men do special facial exercises like this. And if every day of your life you do these facial exercises, your face stays younger. Because often the bones in your face will sag as you get older. And that's why the skin looks like it's sagging, but the bones atrophy. So by moving your facial muscles, that not only stimulates blood flow to the brain, but it keeps the bones in your face healthier. So I'm going to ask you to sit like this and try with me now. Tip of tongue to the base of the upper teeth. Lips closed, jaw open. Outer lips in a half smile. Then the outer eyes can close, but before you close them, can you look up at 12 o'clock? Then your eyes will go a bit white. Look down at 6 o'clock and maybe make your eyes circle, looking to left and right. Then make your eyes make a circle. And once you've done that a few times, then eventually you can do what we do in our deepest, most regenerative cycle, which is sleep. And if you open the eyes of someone who's asleep, the eyes are looking up at the third eye center. So look up with your eyes, but notice that made your forehead tense. So you relax the forehead and then close the eyes. So tip of tongue to the base of the back of the upper teeth, lips closed, jaw lightly open, outer lips lifted in a half smile, outer eyes closed, inner eyes lifted. And then if you bring the sitting bones down, move the top of your hips back, lengthen your lower back, move your lower front ribs back, lift and lengthen your upper back. Bring your shoulders wider and connect with your fingertips. Then, keeping the back of the body, back of the arms, back of the neck lengthened, now expand the front. Without lifting your sitting bones, open the pelvic floor. That's important. You don't want to tighten the pelvic floor unless it needs to tighten. So if you can, relax it. And it sounds silly, but relax it like about to go to the toilet, but not. Of course, if you need to go to the toilet, go to the toilet. Come back. Then relax your pelvic floor. Keep the top of your hips slightly back and your lower ribs backwards. Now expand the abdomen like a baby's belly, like a Buddha belly. Remember, Buddha wasn't fat. Buddha was relaxed. Then with your ribs inwards, lift your collarbone. Then keeping the back of the neck lengthened, lift the front of the throat. So lift your throat forward, chin up, subject to not shortening the back of the neck. This stimulates vagus nerve. Tip of tongue to the base of the back of the upper teeth, lips closed lightly, jaw open slightly, so the teeth don't need to touch. Then lift the outer lips in a half smile. Let the outer eyes softly close, And then let the inner eyes start to look up, not necessarily all the way up, but maybe just slightly higher than the horizon. Then check your forehead is relaxed. And then open the eyes for a moment. So keep the eyes open so you can see me exaggerate these parts. So before we go deeper in, I'll just exaggerate these bits. You stay seated and see if you can build it. And so from this position, now again, work on the back, push your sitting bones down. Like a weight on a string, which is your spine, drop them down. Move the top of your hips slightly back and feel the skin of your lower back, which often is compressed in daily life. And then move the lower front ribs inwards and backwards. Feel the skin of your upper back. Then move the shoulder blades slightly forward and feel the skin between the shoulder blades lengthen. Now lengthen the back of the neck. Head down, neck back slightly. Now take the arms wider and with the hands resting on your knees, can you open the fingertips without hardening them? So not hard fingers lengthened, soft fingers lengthened, but not relaxed. Connecting with your fingertips with the hands rested on your knees. And then from there, having lengthened the back of the body, back of the neck, back of the arms, now focus on the front. So pubic bone down, open the pelvic floor. Like I said, pelvic floor tension is not what we need unless you need to hold something inside. So after you've gone to the toilet, you can relax your pelvic floor more. Many people overemphasize pelvic floor being too tight. But if your pelvic floor is always tight for no reason, well, there's names for people like that, and they're not nice names. So relax the pelvic floor more if you can. That allows you to enter a state of relaxation. Then, top of the hips back, expand the belly. It looks ugly. You don't put that on Facebook, but that's what babies do. Let it relax. And this is what we call a Buddha belly. And I said Buddha wasn't fat. Buddha was relaxed. So don't worry about what it looks like. Let your abdomen relax. That allows for deep breathing. So when you breathe in, you should feel it just above your pubic bone. You should feel it in your lower back and pelvic floor. When you breathe out, it should feel relaxed, no tension, no noise, and ideally now forget the breath. Then keeping the ribs in and abdomen out, lift the collarbone without shortening the back. Then widen the inner armpits all the way to the inner palm if you can. Now focus on the neck. So by expanding the belly, you can move the base of your throat higher up. Now you've got an idea about the parts I'm talking about. So now again we can come to the face. But once we close the eyes, you won't be able to see me. So then you have to remember what I'm saying. So then, but if you need to, open your eyes at any stage and I'll also keep pointing. So now from there, chin up. Now, tip of tongue to the base of the back of the upper teeth. Lips closed, jaw open. Then outer lips lifting in a half smile, not so it tenses. Then the inner eyes going up slightly, but the outer eyes go down, like a closed. Outer eyes down, inner eyes up, and now soften the forehead. So let's start from here now, and we'll go another 10-15 minutes like this. So see if you can stay with the internal mantra of lengthen your body in all directions while relaxing the key points, especially the places between conscious and unconscious, the places that have dual control. So let me take you through a couple of times through what we've done already. And eventually it can become like an internal mantra, but not a mantra which has little meaning in a foreign language. It's a mantra which has meaning for your body. Press your sitting bones down into your chair. Drop the sitting bones like a weight on a string, which is your spine. Move the top of the hips directly above the sitting bones, which for most people means moving them back if you're trying to sit up too straight. So you feel the skin of your lower back around your sacrum. Open the sacroiliac joints, if you know what I mean by that. And as you move the top of the hips back, open the lumbosacral joint, which is usually the lower back just below the top of the hips, often where back pain is. So lengthen that. Then take your lower front ribs and move them in away from the front to feel the skin of your middle back and upper back. Keep the upper back lifted. Now lengthen the back of the neck, lifting the base of the skull slightly and feeling the skin of the back of the neck. Having lengthened the back of the spine, back of the neck, now widen the shoulder blades. Take them wider and see if you feel the skin between the shoulder blades. Can you connect with your elbows? Make them a little bit wider without stretch. Can you connect with the back of the hand and the fingertips without feeling hardness in the tips? Put your consciousness into the tips of the fingers and eventually the tips of the toes. Then your consciousness had to travel all the way through the arms to get to your fingers. Fingertips are important. Check they're lengthened but soft. And lengthening and softening will allow blood to be pulled into that area. And where the blood goes, energy goes, and also information flow. The best information you can pull through your body is the consciousness of love, the permeation of the love molecules inside the body. So having now lengthened the back of the body, back of the neck, back of the arms, keep them lengthened. Now we'll focus on the front. The front of the body, make sure your pubic bone is equally pressing in the floor as much as your sitting bones. Now open the pelvic floor. Sounds funny, but that feeling of relaxing your pelvic floor as if about to go to the toilet, but not. Have the top of the hips slightly backwards to release the front of the hips. Otherwise, if you sit up what people think of as too straight, if your chest is too expanded, the front of the hips will tense. Relax the front of the hips. Now relax the abdomen like a baby belly, like a Buddha belly. And then with your lower front ribs inwards, now lift the collarbone. As you lift the collarbone, the spine starts to lengthen. Now keep all that happening without losing the connection with the back, but eventually you can do one, lengthen one side without collapsing the other side. It's about scanning the body. And now lengthen the front of the arms. Take the inner shoulders a bit wider, so you feel the top of the sternum and chest widening. Go deeper into the inner elbows, take them wider. Open the inner wrist, make it a little bit more lengthened without stretch. Open the palm without hardening it. Connect with the front of the fingertips, but have them soft. Now having lengthened the back of the body, back of neck, back of arms, and now the front of the body, front of the arms, now lengthen the front of the neck. Checking your ribs are in and your abdomen is expanded. Move your throat slightly forward and lift the chin higher if you can, subject to not causing compression at the back of the neck. Then, keeping the neck lengthened but soft, place the tip of the tongue to the base of your upper teeth. Light pressure. Then bring the lips to close, but allow the jaw to open and release those tense masseter muscles, the jaw muscles, which for many people grind at night. Now lift the outer lips slightly higher, so it's like a half smile. As you make the half smile, the brain registers what a smile means. Meditation should be blissful, joyful, a timeless place that takes your breath away. Then, with the outer lips lifted, soften the outer eyelids. Let the outer eyelids soften and close, like falling asleep for the first time, without being knocked out, but like a slow motion closing aspect of the blinking cycle. Now let your inner eyes start to look up without tension. If you lift your eyes too high up, your forehead will tense. So maybe in the beginning, instead of your eyes, which are closed, looking straight ahead, lift them up 5 or 10 degrees above the horizon. If no problem, go a little bit higher up, towards your third eye center. But as you do that, consciously relax the forehead, relax your scalp. Now can you lift the crown of the head a little bit higher, and your sitting bones and pubic bone a little bit lower. Lengthen the height and length of the spine. Now once again, go to lengthen the width of the spine, the depth of the trunk. So go again to the base of your body with your consciousness. Check your sitting bones are pressing into the floor like the root of a tree. The top of the hips are above the sitting bones. As you feel the skin of the lower back lengthen, lift it if you can slightly. Then, with your lower front ribs in, lift the upper back a bit further away from the floor. Don't look for a neutral spine like many people say. Look for a straight spine. The more you can straighten and lengthen the spine, the more energy will flow through it, the more the intervertebral discs will separate, relieving back pain and allowing more flow of blood between the vertebrae, and also more increase in the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. So lift taller, lift the upper back higher, the back of the neck higher, the crown of the head higher. Again, focus on the arms and connect with the tips of the fingers, which, if they're lengthened and relaxed, will make you feel warmer. If you're getting warmer and the room temperature hasn't changed, that's you moving blood. Moving blood while being relaxed is the most important thing you can do for your physiology. Then immunity helps, digestion, reproduction helps, and your subconscious nervous system feels peace, love, safety, and energy at the same time. So then, having lengthened the back of the body, back of neck, back of arms, now go again to the front. Without changing the back body, let's try and expand the front more. Anchor the pubic bone. Now open the pelvic floor. Relax it, like about to go to the toilet, but not. Top of the hips slightly back, ribs slightly back. Expand the abdomen like a baby's belly, like a Buddha belly. Keeping the lower front ribs in, lift the collarbone higher without changing the back if possible. You're doing an internal expansion. Now, without changing the back of the arms, try and widen the front shoulders, the inner elbows, all the way to the tips of the fingers. Relax the fingertips, relax the armpits, relax the shoulders more. Internal mantra always: lengthen and relax. Stay relaxed, but lengthen more. Stay lengthened, but relax some more. Stay relaxed, but lengthen more. Stay lengthened, but relax more. It can be like an internal mantra, like Om Mani Padme Hum, but now this one means something to you. Then with your throat, lift it higher. How high can you lift your chin? Stimulating, allowing access to your vagus nerve. This is your main parasympathetic output. Vagus nerve, front of throat lifted. And this is what helps you calm your nervous system, helps you access immunity, digestion, reproduction. This is what allows you to have health, happiness, and longevity. Again, tip of tongue, light pressure to back of the upper teeth. Lips closed lightly. Jaw open softly. Release the jaw muscles. Outer lips lifting in a half smile. Soft, so not causing tension. Outer eyes softly down. Inner eyes lifting slightly. Forehead soft. Lengthen and relax. Stay lengthened, relax some more. Stay relaxed, lengthen some more. These words that I've given, this focus that we've made, you can keep cycling through your body until eventually you come to a place where you've noticed that you haven't breathed for ages. It's taken your breath away. Once you realize that, that's when you'll start to breathe. Then you go back to the practice. And also, once you're doing this ongoing awareness of lengthening and relaxing, then at some point it starts happening by itself and you realize you're not thinking. Eventually it becomes a timeless place. But when your mind starts to drift, when you start to notice the breath, go back to this cellular scan. So let's do it once more. Come back to the back of the body, anchor your sitting bones. Put your consciousness in the sitting bones. Purely putting consciousness in any part of the body has been shown to bring more blood there. So consciousness in your sitting bones, anchor the sitting bones down. With the top of your hips slightly back, and feel not just the skin of the lower back, but can you open your sacroiliac joints? Feel like the outer hips are moving slightly wider and more forward. So the region between the sacrum and the pelvis is opening, because that place also is a place where parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response, can open up in your body. And the L5S1, the lower back just below the top of the hips, keep that slightly rounded out, because that will open your main energy center. It's the back entrance to your enteric nervous system, your gut brain. Connect the thinking brain in your head with the gut brain at the core. So your gut brain is this large network of nerves centered between the navel and the pubic bone, between the top of the hips and the tailbone, between your diaphragm and pelvic floor. Can you put your consciousness at your core and relax it? How? Relax your pelvic floor underneath it. Let the breath be natural with the diaphragm soft above it. Let your abdomen be soft in front and your lower back lengthened and relaxed behind. If you can connect with your gut brain, when the thinking brain and your gut brain act as one, that's meditation in action. The thinking brain in your head is your masculine. The action brain, the gut brain at your core, the enteric nervous system, that's your feminine brain. And when we have both of them connecting, that's the kundalini. That's the energy flow. That's when subject and object act as one. And that's when the meditation can start happening. Eventually, you learn to not just feel from your core, but breathe from your core, move from your core. So keeping the core relaxed, lengthening the back, lower back, connect with the upper back. Ribs slightly in will help that. Can you feel the skin of your back? Feel the skin of the back of the neck. Lift the crown of the head higher. Keep the sitting bones down. Widen between the shoulder blades, but soften your arms. Widen the elbows. Connect with the fingertips, but soften armpits, elbows, and wrists. Now keeping the back of the body, back of neck, back of arms lengthened. Now again bring your consciousness to the front. Pubic bone anchored down like the sitting bones. Open your pelvic floor, your urethra, your anus, your genitals. Relax them. Like about to go to the toilet, but not. Sounds funny, I know, but this is an important part we all have. It's often too tense. Then with the top of the hips slightly back to release the hip muscles at the front, relax your abdomen like a baby's belly. Keep your lower front ribs in, lift the collarbone higher without shortening your back. Widen inner armpits, inner elbows, open the palm and connect with your fingertips. You'll feel warmer when you do this. But relax armpits, relax shoulders, relax the palm without losing connection with the tips of the fingers or the palm. Then, having lengthened back of body, back of neck, back of arms, front of body, front of arms, now the neck. Connect with your vagus nerve. Move your throat forward, the chin up higher if you can, lifting the throat as high as you can. Keeping the chin lifted, you see it with sages and saints and ancients. Meditation is the place where the head is up. And as the head lifts further, subject to not compressing your neck. Now place the tip of the tongue again to the base of the back of the upper teeth if you've lost it. Lips slightly closed, jaw open, outer lips lifted in a half smile, outer eyes down, inner eyes up. Be here and now. Be still, calm and quiet in body, breath and mind. Be here, be now, connected to yourself. Connect thinking brain in your head with your core, with your trunk, with your whole body. Feel it in a way where you're sharing good energy and loving information through a pain-free, functional body, where the good energy means you're feeling warm because blood is flowing. You're feeling relaxed and no sign of heart racing or any other things which indicate stress. Tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less. But as your mind starts to drift off, go back to cycling through the body, scanning for lengthening and relaxing the places I've said. Be here and now, still, calm and quiet in body, breath and mind. See if you can sense the movement of what I'll call good energy and loving information through your body. The good energy is healthy blood flow, low heart rate. The loving information, that dominance of your parasympathetic nervous system this relaxation response, energized but calm at the same time. And when you share good energy and loving information inside yourself, you have a model for how you can be in the world. Just a little bit more, still, calm and quiet. Think lengthen and relax. Stay completely relaxed and gently open the eyes. Bring the chin in and lengthen the back of your body. Release it. If comfortable, bring your arms forward and up. If comfortable, expand your chest and bring the fingertips to touch. Thank you very much. This was just an introduction. I hope you felt some sense of warmth and a pain-free, comfortable body, where maybe you had something that could give you some sense of being here and now. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to stay and answer some questions for a bit if anyone would like to ask something.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, if you guys want to share, comment, just hit the raise hand button and I will unmute you.
So lovely to see so many wonderful people here. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Yeah. How many people practice with Simon? Curious if you do, drop a one in. If you can't, if you were invited by Simon, drop a one in the chat. And if you want to share, ask a question, now's your opportunity. I definitely noticed, I didn't realize how much tension I keep in my pelvic area. That was an eye opener to me. I
Yes,
noticed
it's
I tighten my glute
always.
muscles all the
Yes,
time. And I
yes,
release and I'm standing for this one, but I release my glutes and then that was like the doorway, like relax those pelvic floor muscles. And I noticed how difficult it was for me to release my belly.
yes,
It was
yes.
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
And I noticed my jaw keeps wanting to come back and touch.
Yes,
Maji, I'll go ahead and unmute you. Go for it.
yes, please,
Hello. I have a question.
please.
It's 3 a.m. here. I'm in Paris, so I'm not fully awake. But my question was about the chin. With the meditation I learned,
Yes,
that asked to like have it a bit down, and
yes.
so but then when I do this, I feel like I don't know exactly which altitude is right in terms of spine, because I feel, I guess maybe because of the habit, I feel that my chin should be a bit lower. But when I look at you, you have it like fully up. If it's fully up, am I not blocking it in the back of the neck? That was my
Let's try
question.
a little exercise. First of all, let me say that it's wonderful to see you in Paris because it's middle of the night in Paris. So you've done very well. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
So when you're doing meditation, it's different to pranayama. So many people teach breath control. If you're doing breath control, it's really important you keep your head down, neck back. and this prevents blood flow to the brain. It will also lengthen the back of the neck. But if your head is always down, you compress your vagus nerve and you overstimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So what we want is to keep the back of the neck lengthened. That's why I asked you to press your fingers against the skull and then lift your chin. But now, the difference is, when you lift your chin, you have to do it without shortening the back of the neck. And so to do that, what tends to happen is the back of the neck will compress if you haven't released your pelvic floor and abdomen. So I'll invite you all to try a simple exercise. What I want you to do is, first of all, I'll do the good way, bad way, good way. So with your ribs in, expand your belly. It looks ugly. And then with your belly expanded, move your throat forward, lift the chin up, and see how that feels. Now bring the head down. Now do something different. I want you to tighten your pelvic floor and pull your abdomen in. With your abdomen in, lift the chin up and notice if the neck feels a bit more compressed. Then come back down. Can you feel a bit of a difference? Because the neck won't work as well. But if you keep your ribs in, try again the good way, expand the abdomen, and instead of just lifting the chin, move your throat forward and lift the chin only as much as you can without shortening the back of the neck.
I see what you mean.
Better, right? Okay. And another thing you can do is that feeling of lifting the throat forward, chin up, now I want you to do it with manual pressure on the base of the skull. So slide your fingers up the neck, touch the base of the skull, push the fingers up, and then try and lift your throat forward, chin up against the hands. And then if you do that for a few moments, pushing the fingers up against the skull, like lifting the back of the neck manually with the hands, trying to lift the throat, then release, and notice if your neck feels a little bit freer.
Yeah, and then that stops the problem of the blocking I was feeling before.
Yes, because if your abdomen is in and you just let the head drop back, you'll get pain. So you mustn't shorten the back of the neck. And so that's important. But when you lift the chin, it has to happen from your core. All movement has to connect with your core. So it's not lift the chin that will make your chest bigger. It's expand the abdomen. Then lift the chest, then lift throat forward, chin up. And then you've got lengthening at the front without collapsing your neck or your spine. That's really important.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have you here in Paris. I love Paris. I was in Paris a few months ago, and I'm going back in June. Maybe see you there.
With great pleasure.
I'd be honored. Bless you. Thank you. And it looks like Anne has also raised her hand. You're on mute, Shawn.
Oh, good. I'm muted now. Thank
you. Okay, you're on mute. Yes. Where is Anne? So can we see you as well?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. I see you on the top left-hand side. Yeah. Lovely, Anne. Please, Anne from Belgium. Please talk to me.
So I'm the same time as.
Very impressive. Very impressive. 3 a.m. My God.
Yeah. 4 minutes past 3. Yes. Yeah. I did a lot of yawning the whole time. It was relaxing. I'm not quite sure what I want to ask you, but it's to do with the breath. I just spent a 4-day weekend with a sort of a group of people. They started it, well, from the States. It was a lot later, again late. They started with an hour of deep breathing and all this stuff. And I just didn't even do it because I find somehow or another, before even hearing what you just had told us, I had this sort of instinctive feeling that I don't want to do that. So now right. you're kind of helping me see that my natural instinct was correct, but mentally I'm not able to get it hooked up completely, because we're told, or at least that when we breathe deeply, it brings the air, the blood in everywhere. It's the opposite of what you're telling us. So I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's,
I don't know. Yeah.
I totally hear you. And many people are thinking that it's really important to breathe more. But actually, you only have to look at medical science and it will tell you that the more you breathe, the less oxygen goes to your brain, the more the nervous system becomes hyperstimulated, the less oxygen goes from your lungs to your blood, and also the less oxygen goes from your blood cells to your body cells, which means you can't metabolize glucose very effectively. You end up getting 1/19 as much energy when you do that. But breathing more than normal, many people teach and practice for the very reasons I've said. They want to take the blood away from the brain because temporarily it makes you not think, and it gives you this giddy feeling of being like on marijuana. And it hypersensitizes the nervous system, which makes you feel your body more. But that's not necessarily a good thing, because if you do too much of that, you'll get dizzy or nauseous, or you can get brain cancer. And if you do too much of it, your nervous system will become cathartic. You can have emotional catharsis, which some people are doing it for that reason. And for some people, they say it helped relieve trauma. Or maybe it helped relive the trauma. But if the trauma was something minor, it's okay. But if the trauma was major, you can relive a trauma the second time. So although this is a very popular thing to do, I don't think it's giving you long-term health. I think it gives short-term benefits, and if you overdo it, you can get major problems long-term. And if you do it, which is fine, and I sometimes practice it, you must compensate. After breathing more than normal, you have to come to at least a period of time where you don't breathe much. So that could be breathe more than normal, like I mentioned at the start of this talk, and then enter a meditative space where for half an hour you hardly breathe at all. Or what I do sometimes, and people like Wim Hof do this as well, where you breathe more than normal and then after you don't breathe for a period of time. Now, when I do it, I don't breathe for 6.5, 7 minutes. Hold my breath. But when other people do it, they only hold their breath for 1 minute. So it's not enough. You have to significantly hold your breath. And when people talk about deep, slow breathing, that sounds good in theory. But for me, a deep breath is not one that you see the chest expand. That's shallow. Deep is deep inside your body. You want to feel it in your pelvic floor, in your lower back. And then fill up the trunk after that. That's deep breathing. And slow breathing for me is not 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. For me, if I breathe slowly, I inhale for 2 minutes, exhale for 2 minutes. That's when pranayama comes to itself. That's when breathing is useful. But most people are living in a world of breathing more. Part of the other reason is when you breathe more than normal, your body thinks you're in a state of flight or fight. It thinks you're running away from an enemy, a saber-toothed tiger. So then you stimulate the hormones of the flight or fight response, which include adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins, which are like coffee, cocaine, and heroin. And coffee, cocaine, and heroin may not be good to take, that people think it's okay inside my body. But, when you combine that with breathing more than normal, which has this marijuana-like effect of less thinking and more feeling in your body, then you're basically on this high feeling. And many people go, I've been breathing a lot. It's amazing. I feel amazing. I'm on a pranic high. I'm on a breathwork high. I'm on a yoga high. I'm on a runner's high. But actually, are you really on a high? This is not prana. This is not chi. This is not energy. This is a combined effect of the body's own coffee, cocaine, heroin, and marijuana at the same time. And some people love this feeling, but you don't get in a car and go drive when you're like that. If someone says to me, are drugs bad? Maybe your brain surgeon says, look, I smoke a joint occasionally. Do you mind if I smoke a joint before operating on your brain? And you go, well, actually, I don't mind a bit of marijuana or a bit of drugs or a bit of coffee, but maybe before you operate on me, have drug free. So if we want a good life, you don't want to stimulate yourself with drugs. And adrenaline and cortisol and endorphins will come the more you breathe. And the effect on the brain with breathing more is very similar to marijuana. And that's why people love it, because it gives them this temporary feeling of out of their head and into their body. But it's not functional. And like I said, long term, I suspect it's the cause of a lot of people's cancer, tumors, and a lot of dysfunction in your nervous system. Because when you're breathing more than normal, again, the body thinks you're running away from an enemy, and so it enters a state of flight or fight. And then all the resources of the body, all the energy of the body goes into flight or fight, which means you don't have energy for immunity, digestion, reproduction. And that's why when people work hard, they are often stressed. But they know they're going on holidays in 3 weeks' time. So they keep working, as long as they get to their holiday. But the day they rest is the day they get sick, because the body will only have immune responses when they're relaxed. So people sometimes think they're doing breathing exercises and it keeps them really healthy. but all they're doing is suppressing the body's natural urge to clean itself out. And then those people I have observed, I'm 65 now, and I've had many of my dear friends pass away. And what I observe is the ones who exercised harder are the ones who die younger. They appear to be strong, and then suddenly 55, heart attack, cancer, die. So this is what I think about that. Not wrong to breathe more, but you have to compensate with breathe less after.
Makes so much sense. I'm
Bless you,
really
darling. Thank you.
happy that you told us this. Yeah, thank you so much.
If anyone here wants to write to me at some point, I can put my email address in the chat in case it's there. Message everyone. Simon at simonborgolivier.com. And if you
And
write,
Simon, while you're at it, go ahead and talk about I'm gonna, while it's on my mind, excuse me
yes,
to interrupt
yes,
you, but I'm gonna post when we're done with this, I'll open up a gift that you're giving away.
okay,
So you guys will have access. You can just click right to his world that way too. If you want to take a minute to share about that, you're
yes,
welcome
I
to do
will.
that as well.
So I've put down 2 email addresses you can write to me at. But if you want to, you go onto my website and you can download my free gift, which is something like simple posture, movement, breathing, and mental control for health, happiness, and longevity, or to help improve immune function, digestive, reproductive function. Because meditation, the way most people do it, is great for the mind, but we also don't just live in our mind, we live in our bodies as well. You have to have a pain-free, functional body. It's good to have energy, and it's good to have a nervous system that's relaxed, because then your immune system, digestive, reproductive, will work better. So I'm trying to find ways of meditating, not just in stationary postures, which are good to do, but let's face it, most of us sit for 5 to 15 hours a day on chairs. We don't need to sit more. We need to meditate more, but I've got a whole bunch of meditations which are also moving. Simple things like, being able to move your fingers, move your shoulders, or if you want to, much more dynamic. I have students in my classes. I did a workshop in Asia a few weeks ago, and the student range was from between 18 and 74. So same people, different people of different ages with different limitations, but we're all doing our meditative practice with doing it in their own way. So dynamic meditative practices I can also share on this free gift. I've got some great dynamic practices which can help relieve shoulder pain, back pain, neck pain, but also improve blood flow without the heart racing. So write to me if you want. And I was saying to Anne, sorry, that if you write to me specifically and say, can I send you more information about breathing? And I've got a couple of little articles that I've written with a couple of breathing exercises, and I can send you my breathing book or other things, Write to me. I have a whole membership website as well. And if people from this course write to me after getting my free book, I'm happy to give you a discount code for my membership site. And I have hundreds of hours of static and dynamic meditative practices I would love to share with you. But I also have a free membership site, which you can also join, and you can get free stuff for that along with the free gift. And I'd love to share that with you, I travel all around the world, so
Beautiful.
maybe I can meet some of you in France or in the United States or in Asia at some point, Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Very generous, Simon. Thank you. Simon, I know you have your call. I know that Usha has his hand up, and I also know I know you have your students waiting in another room as well. And I don't want to put you on the spotlight for that, but
Okay.
you
How
tell
about
me.
since
I want to
Usha's
be
got a hand
respectful.
up? Let me talk
Yeah,
to her.
yeah,
So I'm in the middle of a retreat right now, and I've got my students
yeah.
waiting. But I said to them, this is an important call. So I'd love to talk to Usha and answer what she said, and then I'll
So
probably leave
great.
after that. Bless you. Usha,
Oops. Usha, where'd you go? I lost you.
I lost her too.
There you are right
Oh, there
there.
she
Go
is.
for
She's
it. You
back.
should be able to unmute now.
No?
You should have a button on your screen that allows you to unmute now.
Ask to unmute. On the bottom left-hand side, somehow there's a button usually. Looks like both of you are working on it. Bottom left-hand side
Oh,
is
you
where
had it for a split second, but it went right back. I think you double tapped it.
left-hand side for me on the bottom screen was where it is usually. It says audio, but it can be different on different computers, I understand as well.
I keep seeing it come off for a hair and it goes right back on mute. Hmm. Do you guys want to try typing it in the chat if it's not going to come off?
Yes, yeah.
Type your question in the chat. I'm not sure if they're going to figure that out or not.
They might not. I'm also
Yeah,
going to put on the chat a way to access my free membership. So you can connect with me. There is the link to my free membership, and you can create a free account. And then also I'll put you on my mailing list, and I'll let you know when I'm doing free classes and stuff like this here.
beautiful.
But
Yeah, you
no,
guys hop on. Absolutely.
Usha, thanks. We'll do that. So are you going to write down something, Usha? Maybe. Uh, oh, there's some nice comments in the chat. Guy said he
Look
was
at how many
almost.
people are in the middle of the night. It's so
Yeah,
awesome.
yes, so wonderful. He said he felt it was
Yeah.
almost floating within the body. Thank you. And KG Raghuram said, thank you for the wonderful gift, Simon. I felt really relaxed. I could feel tingle over my body. That's really wonderful to hear that as well. And
Oh, there
Shobha
you
said
go.
she had a
There's Usha.
question. There's Usha. You're going to talk?
Usha said
Okay.
my pulse rate went up in this effort. Is that normal?
If your pulse rate went up, it probably means maybe you were thinking and trying too hard. So when I say lengthen, it's subject to feeling relaxed. So, to activate your body, you need muscles. You could lengthen your fingers, you can make it really hard, or you could lengthen and relax. It only takes minimal effort to lift up the spine. But if you really lift it, you'll get too tense, and that will block blood flow. So in the beginning, your heart rate can also increase a little bit, and that can be a good thing. What you want is heart rate variability. So when I'm doing my breathing exercises or when I'm doing my movement, my heart rate will, over the space of 6 seconds, go up to about 75 beats and down to 45 beats every 6 seconds. And that variation in heart rate is one of the biggest signifiers of ongoing reproductive immunity and digestive health. So the heart going up for a little bit is fine, but staying up all the time probably means you're unnecessarily retarding blood flow. And so then I'd suggest you do everything we've done, but do it with less tension, less stretch, less breathing. So less stretch means less lengthening. So we don't want stretch to come, we want lengthening. And people mistake that stretching exercise is not bad for you, but what we really want is not stretching, we want flexibility. Develop ways of becoming flexible without stretching. Develop ways of becoming strong without feeling tense. Develop ways of improving blood flow without making your heart race. And these are the things that seem opposing but actually give you long-term health. So I explain a bit more about the techniques in my free gift that I give you. So I encourage you to get that and, you know, download what you can and see what you can. I guess I better go back to my group because they're going to wonder about me at this point.
Yeah, thanks, Simon, man. Like I said, you're a man on a mission. I respect that, and I'm inspired by the mission and your commitment to your mission and your tribe and for being here. So thank you so much for all that you shared. I'll get a link posted as soon as this is over with so you guys can click through as well. And I'll have the replay up for everybody within the hour. Thank you,
Oh,
Simon.
well
Thank you
done.
everybody for being here and
Shawn,
contributing.
thank you very much. And thank you to all
Yeah.
of you who here. I really appreciate it. I'm just looking at all your wonderful faces now. I cycled through who's here and what's here. Oh, it's so nice. Really, it's been a joy. And my students understood that I had to come here and be with you, and they were very supportive. So they won't mind that I've taken an hour and a half for lunch rather than an hour. My joy, my privilege, my honor to be here with you, Shawn, and everyone. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to everyone who's watching this as a recording as well. Bless you.
Thank you, Simon. Tell your students thank you as well. And have a blessed rest of your day. And for everybody else, beautiful evening, beautiful morning, or beautiful middle of the night. We have people all over the globe. So thank you, everyone, for being here and sharing
And
your energy and yourself with us. Have a great day,
my
great night.
pleasure. Shawn, it's really wonderful to see what you're doing. Keep doing this beautiful thing that you're doing. I think you're doing a great thing for the world. So thank you very much.
My
Bye
pleasure.
bye.
Thank you for that.
Bless you. Bye bye.
All right,
Thank you.
brother. Take care. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.